Hey guys, what's up? And don't mind the background noise. They're playing Assassin's Creed in the background, so whatever.
I am.
My son is.
That's me.
Anyway, haven't put out anything thought-provoking lately. I got another video recorded already, but it's more entertainment. You'll see what I mean after this one. But I just want to at least put out something of decent. It's a topic I've touched on before, but I really feel like touching on it again. It's just a theme that I keep thinking about all the time, especially with, all this talk about change and, different uprisings happening and people thinking, different movements and different political ideas bouncing back and forth and the debates going on and the protests going on, all this type of stuff. It reminds me once again of what I said before about how basically when it comes to our cultures and our systems, so to speak, it's all pretty much a game. And I still hold to that. We're all pretty much just playing a big game. The problem is when you mention that to some people, they get rather uptight about that. I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys already know, and some of you might even be thinking at the moment, that life isn't a game. That, it's, so this is serious business. Life isn't, and we hear that from our parents, we hear that from certain authorities, whatever. Life isn't a game. You need to take it seriously. Not exactly. The way we've set up life, it is a game. A game that you do have to take seriously, but not too seriously. But it is a game. And the reason why I say that is because, like any game, there are rules. There's a certain context to how those rules are put out, and we can choose to go with them or not. But the rules that we come up with and the game that we come up with for those rules don't necessarily reflect reality as it is. Rather, it reflects a reality that we all agree upon for that moment. Just like a game. Games themselves are a construct of a type of reality, whether it be war games, strategy games, card games. It takes a certain aspect of our lives and codifies it, gives it a set of rules, and then we play the game based on those rules, if we agree with them or not. And we tend to enjoy, and when it comes to games, like straight up games for entertainment, we tend to enjoy them. We tend to, we take it mostly for entertainment value. But those of us who truly understand the value of games know that it's also something that we can learn from, something that we get a lot of benefit from. It's one of the reasons why they say that it's very important for children to engage in play as they're growing up. It stimulates their mind, it stimulates, their imaginations, helps to build upon it, but it also helps them to understand how to follow basic rules of society itself, because society itself has rules. The difference being that when it comes to just straight up games, we treat it as it is, something that we can change or mess with as we see fit, or something that we can choose to participate in or not. But when it comes to society, that seems to be set in stone. That seems to be an absolute truth for some people. Those particular type of rules for a lot of people cannot be changed. They don't see it as a game. I purposefully choose the word game, however, not because I'm trying to make light of it, but because I'm trying to get people to understand that just like a game, you can accept it, or you can pass it by, or you can change the rules to suit you to make it more fair. Think about, for instance, when a video game comes out, and there's something about the gameplay engine or about the system itself which makes it unfair for some people, or makes it unfair in a certain context. And the people playing the game raise up a stink about it or bring attention to it. And then the game company is like, hey, you got a point. And this doesn't happen all the time. Some people are just straight up arrogant. There's nothing wrong with our game. But there are other people like, yeah, you got a point. This does need to be tweaked. And then they go in and tweak it, and then it's more balanced. It's fair. Fighting games go through this a lot. Where, they'll first come out with the game, and then there's a certain character who's overpowered, or there's a certain gameplay mechanic that can get exploited, which can mess things up for a lot of people. And The developers then have to, ask themselves, is it worth tweaking this or not? Is messing with this going to mess with the overall game, or is this going to be beneficial for the players? And then if they feel it's beneficial, then they go in and they tweak it, or if they feel like it's fine as is, they'll leave it alone. But this is something that's considered malleable. They created it, and they can, mess with it as they see fit in order to make it play better. And those who are participating in the game can choose to buy it or not. They choose to participate or not. It's not, something that's set in stone as an absolute that you have to participate in. But it happens all the time. It's nothing for them to go in and change it, and it's nothing for the participants to raise an issue with aspects of the game that they don't like. And they themselves, the participants, can sometimes come up with rules that allow them to make things more fair for the players. Me and my wife play Magic the Gathering. And I play Magic the Gathering about just after it first came out, like around late 93, early 94, I was playing. I mean, I'm pretty old. I'm an old bastard when it comes to that game. And there were a whole lot of house rules that were made for it. One I can think of is, we've given it a name now, all land mulligan or all creature mulligan. Basically, when you start off with your starting hand, for those of you who don't know what this game is, and how do you not? Magic the Gathering is a card trading game. It's one of the original, if not the original card trading game. That's the back, and, you got your creatures, whatever. And it's basically, it's basically a combat game. You got at least two people playing against each other. They got a set amount of hit points. You're trying to decrease the other person's hit points with your cards, which represent spells and creatures and attacks. And whoever depletes the other guys first wins. Basically, there's other ways to win, but it's the general rule. And there are certain house rules that people made up after a while to make things more fair. And one of them, like I said, was the all land mulligan, where if you start out, when you pull your hand and you start out with all land or all creatures, if you want to understand how this is, read the rules of the game. You can easily find it online. But generally, land is the power. It gives you the power to cast the spells and send out creatures. If you have all land and you got no creatures, you're at a disadvantage. Likewise, if you got all creatures when you first start out but no land to put them out, you're at a disadvantage. So a house rule used to be when you're first starting the game, if somebody ended up with that, can I reshuffle my deck and pull out another hand? Sure. Make things more fair. This house rule became something that so many people liked and so many people engaged in that it's now actually listed, with official paraphernalia. Like they actually state that this is something you can do. Just throw that in case this happens, so you go ahead and do that. It's a house rule that became universal because it made things more fair, and it was something that was started by the players, not the designers. Something that they put in to make things, more fun. And I mention this again because if you look at this in context of real life, if you look at our systems and all that, it's funny how it seems, so few of us seem to take that into account about the life games we play, the systems that we work under, the cultures that we adhere to. Those have rules, but those rules were made up by us. Whether it be our economic systems, whether it be our political systems, all that are basically games, more serious games, but still games, rules, setups that we play. And it's not just the designers who can get to tweak things to make things more fair. We can as well. And usually human beings, when they're playing games, are trying to make it more fair for everybody involved, not just for those who are really good at winning. When, again, with the smaller games, people want to make things more fair, they come up with rules, they'll come up with house rules, whatever, and make it something that benefits everybody else. And they don't really like it when somebody tries to tweak the rules so that only they win all the time, or that only a small group of people win all the time. They're trying to make it more of a universal thing where everybody has a chance. But it's funny how we will not do this with our life games, the big games. Now, we'd rather let people who are taking advantage of the game make the rules just to suit them. This is getting a bit rambly, so let me just try to get to the point. the basic thing is, this is a big game. We're playing a whole lot of big games right now. Not just for entertainment, but, you know, real life. But we don't recognize it for what it is. It sort of reminds me of Bill Hicks. There was a certain stand-up that he did, and I wish I could remember the name of it now. But toward the end of it, he talked about how there are people who basically come in life throughout history and basically tell us that life is just a big ride. It's a ride that it has thrills, it has chills, it has ups and downs, but it's a ride. You know, it's something to be enjoyed. It's not something to take too seriously. And, you know, we can participate in this ride how we see fit. And to use his words, we kill those people. And because we take life way too serious. Like, no, this has to be real. This is not a ride. It's real. I mean, look at my bank account. Look how important I am. This has to be real. No, it's just a ride, you know, and that's sort of what I'm saying. Our systems, our, you know, rules, our society rules, our economics, all this type of stuff, we made it all up, okay? We made it all up because we're trying to come up with something that works for our society to function, for us to participate in the hopes that it would help to keep the gears turning for, you know, our society to function. But just like any game, any set of rules, it has to work and satisfy pretty much everyone in it so that everybody can benefit. That's what games do. And game designers, those who truly care about the game, will do what they can to make sure that the rules are fair for everybody. But our life games, the big stuff, we don't really do that. And it's really having some detrimental effects on human life. But again, as in any game, it's not real. It is a construct of reality for us to work with. And we can change it how we see fit. We also don't have to play it if we don't want to. A game is meaningless if there are no players. You can design the greatest game or the greatest system you want, but if no one's interested in playing it, it's useless. And we're the ones who give games life. So that's just something that I would like some people to mull over. I'm trying my best to put these thoughts of mine about this into words, and that's the problem. Like the Tao said, you know, it's the more you try to describe it, the further you get away from it. But I'm just basically trying to put that idea about how, you know, all these systems that we're fighting for, fighting against, rooting for, whatever, we made it all up. They're just games. They have rules. We can work with those rules. We can change those rules. We can just say F these rules. Because at the end of the day, it's pretty much up to us whether we want to participate in this or not. If we want to keep the game alive. And if it is unfair, perhaps maybe we should be considering to change it or come up with a new game altogether. Just something to think about. And I don't really see how that is a radical idea if you think about it. Because it's what we do. We're system-making creatures. We're tool-making creatures. This is what we do. We make rules. We make tools. We make systems. We make games. And none of it is permanent. The only constant is change. And I think our system should be able to change just with everything else, just to keep it working. Just like any game. That's enough. Catch you guys later.